Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're talking about something I think a lot of you out there probably deal with, and that's finding a staffing agency partner.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially I think for our audience, facility managers, HR managers.
Yeah.
It's a big decision.
Huge. Yeah.
And, it can be tough to sort through, all the agencies out there. They're all saying the same thing. They're all saying they're the best.
Right.
So we're going to try to help you cut through that noise today.
Absolutely.
We've got a really interesting blog post, actually. It's called How to Figure Out If a Staffing Agency Will Be a Good Partner.
I love that title.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of use this blog post as our jumping off point today.
Perfect.
And kind of go through some of the key things that this blog post highlights.
Okay. Sounds good.
So first of all, one of the things that really stood out to me is that it's not just about, those big promises, right?
Oh.
Every agency is going to come in and be like, we're going to save you money. We're going to find you the best people. We're going to, solve all your problems.
All right. We can do it all.
Yeah, exactly.
We're miracle workers.
But what really matters is finding an agency that understands your specific needs.
Exactly. Alignment is so important.
Yeah.
They have to get your facility. They have to get the culture of your facility, the unique challenges that you're facing, your goals.
Yeah.
And it's not about just filling a slot, right? It's about finding a partner who's invested in your overall success.
I think that's such a key point.
Yeah.
I've definitely run into this in the past where, I've had agencies that just felt like they were just churning through candidates.
Just bodies, yeah.
Just bodies, and not really taking the time to understand what we were looking for.
Right. Not a good fit.
Yeah. And it ends up being, a big waste of everyone's time.
Exactly. And that's why I really like how this blog post goes into the essential services that Signal Quality. These are the must-haves that indicate you're actually dealing with a partner and not just an agency trying to make a quick buck.
All right. So let's talk about some of these must-haves then.
Okay.
First one that comes to mind, compliance management.
Oh, huge, especially in healthcare.
Huge. Absolutely.
You need an agency that is just obsessed with doing things by the book.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even really an option.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
No, it's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
They should have really solid systems in place for checking credentials, background screenings, everything.
So when we're talking to these agencies, what are some questions we can ask to really gauge how seriously they take compliance?
Yeah. Well, you want to go deep on their processes.
Okay.
How do they track licenses and credentials that are expiring?
Right.
What does their background check process actually look like? Do they use third-party providers?
Okay.
And a good agency, a really good agency, is going to be excited to share all that with you.
Yeah. They should want to talk about it, right?
Yeah. It shows they care. They care about protecting you.
Okay. So compliance. Big one.
Big one?
Another one that jumps up is customer service.
Okay.
And I think, we all know customer service is important, but it goes way beyond just, being friendly on the phone.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, you need an agency that's responsive, resourceful, and available when you need them.
Yes. Especially like those middle of the night emergencies.
You got it.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
Right.
3 a.m., you're short-staffed. You need someone to pick up the phone and actually be helpful.
Exactly. And not just be like, oh, call back on Monday.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're thinking availability.
Okay.
Dedicated account reps.
Yeah.
People who actually understand your needs and super fast response times.
So what are some questions we can ask to really figure out if an agency has good customer service?
Well, you could ask about their after-hours support.
Okay.
Do they have an on-call team?
Mm-hmm.
What are their average response times for urgent requests?
Oh.
Things like that.
And I'd even add to that, do they communicate proactively?
Yes.
Are they keeping you in the loop even when things are going well?
That's a really good point.
Because you don't want to be, in the dark and then all of a sudden there's a problem.
Right. You want a partner who's thinking ahead.
Exactly.
And trying to prevent those problems from happening.
Okay, so we've talked about compliance. We've talked about customer service.
Yeah.
This next one is a little bit more kind of technical.
Yeah.
But the blog really emphasizes it, the W-2 advantage.
Yeah.
So they're suggesting that, you should really prioritize agencies that employ their staff as W-2 employees.
Correct.
Rather than independent contractors.
Yes.
So can you kind of break that down for us? Why is that such a big deal?
Sure. So it all comes down to responsibility.
Okay.
When an agency uses W-2 employees, they're taking on the responsibility for payroll, taxes, workers' comp, benefits, the whole 9 yards.
So it takes a lot of the risk off of me as the facility manager.
Exactly. You're not on the hook for all that stuff. Yeah.
And it also usually means that those employees are feeling a bit more valued
Okay.
and a bit more secure.
So it's kind of a win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
The agency's happy, the employees are happy, and the facility's happy.
That's what went.
All right, so that's the W-2 advantage.
Yes.
Another thing the blog talks about is the idea of a data-driven partnership.
Okay.
So what does that actually mean, like, in terms of a staffing agency?
So basically it means that the agency is using data to make their services better.
Okay.
They're tracking things like fill rates, time to fill, candidate satisfaction, employee retention.
Okay.
And they're using that information to figure out what's working,
Okay.
what's not working, and how they can continuously improve.
So for someone who's maybe not, a data expert,
Right.
what are some questions we can ask to kind of gauge how data savvy an agency is?
Yeah. Well, you can ask them about their key metrics.
Okay.
What are they tracking? How do they share those metrics with you?
And most importantly, how are they using that data to actually improve their service?
So it's not just about collecting data, it's about using it in a meaningful way.
Exactly.
Right. So data-driven partnership, that's another big one.
Yes.
The blog also talks about the importance of business reviews.
Right.
And I think a lot of people might think, oh, a business review, that's just kind of a, casual check-in call.
Yeah, just a quick chat.
Yeah. But the blog emphasizes that it should be more than that. It should be a structured evaluation of how the partnership is working.
Exactly. It's about sitting down together,
Okay.
looking at the data,
Uh-huh.
identifying any challenges that have come up,
Okay.
and then coming up with solutions together.
So it's really a collaborative process.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when we're talking to potential agencies about these business reviews, what are some questions we should be asking?
Yeah, well, I would ask about the frequency of the reviews.
Okay, how often are they happening?
Right.
And-
What specific metrics are they going to be tracking and discussing?
Okay.
And then how do they handle your feedback? Are they actually incorporating it into their processes?
So it's really about making sure that these business reviews are actually leading to some positive changes.
You got it.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of really important things here.
We have.
And, I'm feeling like I'm starting to get a better grasp of what to look for,
That's great.
but we've only scratched the surface.
There's so much more to discuss.
There's a lot more to cover.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with more from this awesome blog post on how to find a great staffing agency partner. Okay, so we talked about compliance and customer service and that W-2 advantage and using data, to make smart decisions.
A lot of good stuff.
A lot of good stuff. But the blog doesn't stop there.
Oh, no.
There's more. And they also talk about reference checking.
Oh, of course.
And, it's one of those things that can be kind of easy to just gloss over.
Yeah, just check the box.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, yeah, we call a couple of references. They said good things.
Yep. Looks good. Moving on.
Yeah. But this blog emphasizes the importance of going deeper.
Right. Really digging in.
Yeah. So what are some questions we can ask beyond, just the basic, were you happy with their service?
Yeah, so you want to get specific, like really specific.
Okay.
You could ask about a time when the agency had to handle like a sudden staffing crisis.
Okay.
Like how did they respond?
Uh-huh.
How quickly were they able to find a solution? Were they communicating clearly throughout the whole process?
I like that because stuff happens
Oh, yeah.
and you want to know that they can handle it.
Exactly.
Okay.
You could ask about how they responded to a quality concern.
Okay.
Like maybe there was an issue with a specific candidate or a lapse in performance.
Yeah, that definitely happened.
It does happen.
So how did they address it?
Exactly. Did they take ownership?
Hmm.
Did they work with the facility to find a solution?
Yeah, because you don't want them just, brushing it under the rug.
Right. You want them to be accountable.
Exactly.
Good.
And transparent. And when we're talking to these references,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything specific we should be looking for in terms of like who we're talking to?
Yeah. I would try to talk to facilities that are similar to yours,
Okay.
in terms of size, specialty, things like that.
That makes sense.
Their experiences are going to be the most relevant.
Okay, so reference is really important.
Very important.
Now, this one might seem obvious, but the blog also talks about financial stability of the agency.
Right.
So how do we assess an agency's financial health?
Well, you can start by asking how long they've been in business.
Okay,
A good track record is a good sign.
makes sense.
You can ask about their insurance coverage,
Right.
make sure they're adequately insured,
Mm.
and you can even ask for financial references.
Okay, so financial stability, that's another big one to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
The blog also talks about training and development programs.
Oh, yeah.
And this is something that I think is really important because I want to know that the agency is investing in its employees.
Right. You want to know that they're providing them with the tools and resources that they need to be successful.
Exactly. And ultimately, that benefits everyone, right?
Exactly. The employees are happier and more skilled, and the facilities get better care.
So what kind of questions should we be asking about these training programs?
Well, you can ask about their initial training for new hires.
Okay.
Like, what does it cover? How long is it? Do they use different methods like simulations or hands-on experience?
Okay.
And then you can also ask about ongoing professional development opportunities.
Yeah, like continuing education courses.
Exactly. Mentorship programs, things like that.
So basically, we're looking for an agency that's really committed to, lifelong learning for its employees.
Yes, a growth mindset.
Growth mindset. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so training and development, another big one.
Yes.
And of course, we can't talk about staffing these days without talking about technology.
Oh, yeah.
The blog calls this technology integration.
Right.
And they emphasize the need for a tech-savvy partner.
Makes sense.
I mean, technology is everything these days, right?
It really is, especially in healthcare.
So what are some of the tech-related questions that we should be asking these agencies?
Well, I would start by asking about their scheduling systems.
Okay.
Do they have an online platform that's user-friendly?
Yeah. Because I know that can be a real pain point.
It can be.
If the scheduling system is clunky and difficult to use.
Exactly. You can ask about their communication systems.
Okay.
How do they keep you updated? Do they have a mobile app?
Data security is obviously a huge concern.
Huge.
So how do we make sure that our information is being protected?
Yeah, you want to ask them about their specific security protocols.
Okay.
Things like encryption,
Uh-huh.
backups,
Mm-hmm.
employee training.
So basically, don't be shy about asking those tough questions.
Exactly. The right agency will be happy to answer them.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have.
We've talked about everything from compliance to technology.
And everything in between.
And I think it's clear that finding the right staffing partner is a big decision.
It is.
But it's also an exciting one
Oh, for sure.
because when you find that right partner, it can really make a huge difference in your life
It can.
and in the
And
success of your facility.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap things up, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the big picture.
Okay.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of filling positions.
Yeah, just putting out fires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the blog encourages us to think about the long-term vision of the partnership.
Right. The big picture.
Yeah. So how do we evaluate an agency's commitment to that long-term vision?
Well, you can ask them about how they see themselves supporting your facility's growth.
Okay.
How do they plan to adapt as your needs change?
Mm-hmm.
What are their strategies for attracting and retaining top talent?
Yeah, that's a big one these days.
It is.
Finding good people and keeping them.
Yeah.
So basically, we're looking for an agency that's not just reactive, but proactive.
Right. They're thinking ahead.
They're thinking ahead.
And they're invested in your success.
They want to be a true partner.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this has been incredibly helpful. I feel like I have a much better understanding of what to look for in a staffing agency partner.
That's great to hear.
But before we send everyone off to start interviewing agencies, one of the big things that's stood out to me is that it's really not just about checking boxes.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not.
It's about finding an agency that gets your facility,
Absolutely.
that understands your needs, your culture,
Yeah.
your goals.
Alignment is so important.
It really is. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me from this whole conversation, from this blog post that we've been looking at, is the importance of asking those tough questions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like really digging deep,
Don't be afraid to get into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. We need to know the details.
Mm.
We need to understand their processes, their technology, their commitment to training. So don't be shy about asking those tough questions. The right agency is going to welcome that.
They'll be happy to share.
They should be proud of what they do.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
And I want you to really think about this. We've talked about all these essential services, all these key questions, the importance of a long-term vision.
A lot to consider.
If you could ask a potential staffing agency just one question,
Okay.
just one, what would it be?
That's a great question.
What would be that make or break question for you?
It really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it?
It does. Because at the end of the day, finding the right staffing agency partner is about peace of mind.
It is.
It's about knowing that you have a team in your corner that's got your back,
that understands your needs.
that's going to help you succeed.
Absolutely.
So as you go out there and start your search, remember the insights from this deep dive. Ask those tough questions. Trust your gut. And choose a partner that's not just filling positions, but helping you build a stronger, more successful future for your facility.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us, and happy staffing.
See you next time.